you guys are interested in learning about some more Latin that's commonly used in English, but maybe you don't know what it means, or maybe you don't even know that it's Latin. I think our first word is actually a great example of that. R.I.P. And no, it does not mean rest in peace. Actually, what it does mean is pretty close to rest in peace. It's Latin for requiescat in pace, which means may he or she rest in peace. So does the may really make a difference? Yeah, actually, it does, because it's subjunctive. If I wanted to say he rests in peace in Latin, it would be requiescit in pace. But it's requiescat, it's subjunctive. So it's supposed to convey like a maybiness. It's called an optative subjunctive, actually, if you have to know. Anyway, the rest of it's pretty straightforward. We've talked about the ablative case before, right? Which oftentimes uses a preposition, like, for example, in, as in pace. Pace comes from the Latin word pax pacis, which means peace. So if I want to say, may he rest, I say requiescat and in peace in pace. Requiescat in pace. There you go. So next time someone says, oh, rest in peace, you can be like, requiescat in pace, may he rest in peace. The next thing we're talking about is something that you probably have seen in like any kind of scholarly text, CF. So maybe you'll be reading a footnote and it'll be like, blah, 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 CF, and then it'll say like a number or like a page number or a passage or whatever. The CF is an abbreviation for Latin confer. And confer is actually a combination of two words. It has the combining prefix con, which means with, together with fer. And fer comes from the Latin word ferro, which means to carry. So confer means essentially to carry together, to collect, or to review together. And it gives us another Latin word, a Latin verb actually, confero, which means I collect or I compare. Now, confero is the first person form of the verb, like confero, I'm the one comparing. But if I want to like command you, like you best be comparing, I say confer, which is a little bit unusual because usually imperatives of this particular type of verb end in an E, but it's not confere because fer drops the E. Dic, duc, fac, fer should have an E, but it isn't there. If you take Latin, you'll find that fun, I guess, hopefully. How about AM, PM? You probably see it every day on the clock. I bet you don't even know what it means. That's okay, because most people probably don't. Well, they both mean similar things. One is ante-meridium, that's AM, and PM is post-meridium. The Latin word for middle is medius, and it's combined with the Latin word for day, which is dies, to form meridian, which means the middle of the day. So if it's ante, which means before, ante-meridium is before the middle of the day, post, meaning after, is post-meridium, or after the middle of the day. Pretty easy. Now, how about this one? Seek. You'll see this a lot of times in like newspaper or where someone is being quoted. It'll like have a quote and then it'll say seek. What that actually means is that there's something wrong with the quote, usually like some kind of grammatical thing, and the editor doesn't want to look like an idiot, so they write seek, which is Latin for thus or so or just like this. In other words, I'm not the one who made the mistake. It was the person we're quoting who said, you know, than instead of then or whatever. How about AD? Hopefully people already know what this is. You still get some people thinking that this means after death, like when it's in a date like 847 AD. It doesn't mean after death. It means Anno Domini, which is, well, anno comes from annus, which means year, and Domini is the genitive form, that's the possessive form, of Dominus, which means master or Lord. So if I want to say in the year of the Lord or in the year of our Lord, I say Anno Domini, ablative genitive. Here's one that, well, when I was a kid, which was like a year and a half ago, I used a lot without knowing what it meant, and that's vice versa, or the more correct, cool way to say it, the Latin pronunciation would be vice-versa. This is a kind of an obscure piece of Latin grammar called the ablative absolute. And the ablative absolute, I'm not even going to try to explain it because it's like incredibly confusing. It took me like months to understand this. But anyway, the way you translate this is usually with a preposition like with. So vice is the ablative of vicis, and it means like the order or the arrangement. So if I have just the word vice as in the ablative of vicis, it means like with the order or with the arrangement. Versa is actually, it's the perfect passive participle. But anyway, perfect passive participle is like having been something. And the word versa comes from the Latin verb verto, which means to turn or reverse. So if I have versa, that means having been changed, having been turned or reversed. So we put that together, vice, with the order, and versa, meaning having been reversed, I have vice versa, with the order having been reversed.